Hey YouTube, just doing a video in the car because I'm self-employed, so I gave myself today and tomorrow to spend with my wife and daughter. They're leaving for Japan on Friday. So Friday I'm actually taking them to the airport, but today we're going to my daughter's ice skating. So I have a couple videos planned. I have my friend Nico's wife's Ferrum Forge Scepter. I realized that I never did an actual review of a Ferrum Forge Scepter. I talked about them, but I never did a review of them. And I have a couple of Hinderers that are coming in, and another Microtech that's coming, and I can't remember which one that is. So I will do some videos on those. But what I was going to talk about today was the differences between, I talked about edge geometry yesterday, and going along with edge geometry is blade grinds that can have a lot to do with how a knife performs in different applications. So now, this is my Chris Reeves Sebenza, which is a hollow ground blade, and it's kind of thinner stock than a lot of the knives I carry. With a hollow grind, you get some immense cutting capability to a point. The problem that arises with a hollow is when you try to do some really heavy cutting in material that is softer. Like if you were trying to use a deep hollow, which this doesn't have such a deep hollow. This is an overall really, really good cutter. But in a lot of applications, it's got going to do as well as, say, my Ferrum Forge Fortis. That is something that is a little bit more bulky. So what you get is, I'm watching my neighbor pick her daughter up and carry her to her house. It's hilarious. So it's comparative to European swords and Japanese swords. And I know that the comparison, everybody says, oh, well, this and that, and the cutting, and you can still cut the Tommy mats. But the fact is that a hollow grind, where it comes up like this, that material that you're going to cut into is eventually going to come up, and it's going to hit this scooped out area, which would be right in here. And as it comes up, it's going to bind on that. It's going to come into that, and it's going to try and make this, so you've got a fairly deep cut, and now all of a sudden it's trying to force its way out and around. And it's going to bind up, and you're not going to have, for certain applications in a hollow grind, you're not going to have the ability to slice through certain materials. Flesh, meat being a couple of them. But when you have something that comes down flatter or even rounder, you're gonna find that acts like a wedge. And as that rounded, because I put a convex on almost every knife I sharpen. It might not be a perceivable one, but I guarantee if you were to try to measure that angle and you laid it across, you would see that it has a radius to it. So it acts like a wedge, and it forces material away at that shoulder. It forces that material away, and you're not getting that binding effect that you get with where that, like a true hollow like Chris Reeves, it's thinner behind the cutting edge than it is at that point where the shoulder is on your cutting edge, and that allows that material to drop back in, and now you've got a little bit of a problem with certain materials when you're cutting. That's why knives like this, and even more so my Microtech DOC, is something that I would use as a weapon. It is in a self-defense role, because that blade's really thick, and it comes down, and I can put a really, really strong convex on it, and it's just gonna lay a devastating cut. Where this will cut really well, it will cut someone, but the further you get into the flesh or the material or the meat, whatever you're cutting that's that soft material, this will have a tendency to start to bind. Whereas something with this kind of edge geometry would not. As you can see, it's not a hollow, it's very distinctly ground pretty much flat on both sides, and then I put a convex edge on it. So that is how That's why a lot of people say that the Japanese samurai sword is better at cutting in a lot of a lot of times it's better at cutting than that's just the way they grade it. So because it allows you to lay that deep cut, and it forces the material and allows that edge to continue to penetrate as it moves material out of its way. That's a lot like a hatchet or an axe has got that apple seed shape to it, because that chopping allows it to move the material out of the way and then cut in deeper. So yeah, a little bit of edge geometry and blade grind. I had made a video about the Ferrum Forge Crux. You know you're supposed to drive on the right hand side, right? The Ferrum Forge Crux that's coming out. I have a video that I'm going to release tomorrow on something. I didn't like the video. Something was wrong with the way it filmed. It was really cloudy and hazy and really hard to see. So I am basically going to, today or tomorrow, reshoot that video about the Ferrum Forge Crux, because it's an awesome knife. I know a lot of you guys have seen that. The announcement, the drop hasn't started yet. Elliot asked if I could wait till the drop actually started to do a video, so I did. Well, to release the video. So we'll see. I'm probably gonna have to reshoot that, and I've been carrying it a little bit longer now, so that will allow me to make some better comments. And like I said, I got that scepter, got a couple hinders. The scepter actually is in right now. It's on my kitchen table. So all right, guys, let's just call this one a finished video, and I will talk to you guys later. See you next time.